Scott, do the introduction. On you go.
Welcome to Miles Off It with Peter Wattick. James changes his name all the time. We'll just stick with James McCluskey and Scott Steele. Right now we are starting with some more conspiracy talk from Peter. He is saying that Subway don't sell any real food ingredients.
Right, it's no conspiracy.
Looking forward to the lawsuit.
Exactly. They're getting sued, man. Right. So the bread is no bread. It's a pastry. There's too much sugar in it. Like they tried to get, I think it's whatever the tax break is. You know how you can sell bread without paying tax, but you can't sell like pastry without paying tax. Is that what it is? So you know the stuff with pies, folk were going mental because pies went up by about 17 pence. Do you remember those like 10 years ago? Well, Subway tried to get tax.
Because it's baked goods in it, so is that not the whole Jaffa Cake advert? That's the reason why they want to be classed as one or the other. Because
that's why they want to be classed as a biscuit and not a cake. Yeah.
So you're saying that if something that identifies itself as something else, that they should be free to do whatever they like?
Pretty much, yeah.
Unless they're clearly a biscuit.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm hashtag. I am a.
Oh no!
I identify as a hobnob, mate. On the subject of that, I just saw an old video of Piers Morgan interviewing a bit of broccoli. Like it was a man that identified as a stick of broccoli, and he's on the Good Morning Britain programme, and Piers Morgan's like, so you identify as broccoli, and the guy's like, yep. And then the woman behind him, Suzanne, whatever, goes, so what do you do, like in your day-to-day life? And the guy just goes, I grow. And I was howling.
I don't know I don't know who's booking those things. Is it Good Morning Britain?
Like, oh, I'm pure veg.
I don't know, man.
The guy's got serious mental health problems, and I thought, I know where we'll put him in front of 4 million people on a Wednesday morning with Piers Morgan.
I mean, but that's ridiculous, though. We all agree that's fucking ridiculous.
That's too far, right?
But the person could be nuts as well. Were they, Peter? Did you actually see the clip where they like talking with sense? Were they coherent and all that?
Aye. So he seemed quite posh, but he had green face paint on and like a hat that made him look like, and he was wearing a suit,
like Green Man,
proper done up. So he clearly looked at himself in the mirror that morning and went, "I'm gonna get interviewed by Piers Morgan. I'm wearing a suit. Never mind the fucking big stalk of green shit coming out the top of your head." But
is it inappropriate to green up?
Exactly.
He
green faced, didn't he?
That's Hulkism. I've just googled broccoli man, and the results do not disappoint.
Can you share it, James?
Amazing, mate. Wait, I think I can
wait a minute.
Can you get the picture up? Right, what was it on about? Right, we'll
broccoli man.
Tell me about this, and then I'll.
Right, of course he's taking the piss. He looks fucking awesome. His head looks like a duster. One of those. No, it could be an afro that he's just dyed. No, it's definitely not an afro.
No, it's a hat. It's like a plastic broccoli-shaped hat. It's like, I don't know.
Is he taking? So is he like a?
I'll find it.
Is he far right taking the piss out of like trans people? Is that the?
I think yeah.
You know
that would be my hunch.
You know that joke that's not been done to death for the last 5 years about people just saying they can identify with whatever the fuck they like.
I haven't heard it,
mate. That really funny joke. You know the one that catches you off guard when a open spot like myself.
When they go, I identify as a door handle. You're like, you're the next James Acaster.
What? What did you say, James Acaster?
No, like when if someone will say a joke like that, and then they'll think no one's written this, and then they're like, he's the next James Acaster.
He's the next Ricky Gervais.
Broccoli Man is the next James Acaster.
Broccoli Man. I'm going to try and find a picture because there should be a way of bringing this up. Let's have a wee crack at it. So basically the thing was Subway's bread is not bread. It's got too much sugar in it, so it's classed in the category of a donut, right? So when you're eating a Subway, basically you're eating a donut. But there was a story, I think about a month ago or a few weeks ago, where this Arab lady went in, and she would always have a cheeky wee tuna sub on her break. I don't know, but she went in and had a tuna sub, and she heard a rumour that there was bits of pork in the tuna, so she was quite distressed. So what she did, as any reasonable person would, she went into Subway, bought a tuna sandwich, and had it tested by a lab. You know, the lab that you have on hand at all times?
Yeah, all reasonable people have a lab at the end of their street.
I absolutely. So
the lab of accusatory Muslim food, picky food people.
It's a halab.
Right.
Here it comes.
We're 5 minutes in.
I've been that in a cheeky wee halab. So she gets it tested, and she's fully expecting for it to come back as there's pork in it, and it turns out there's no tuna in it whatsoever. Like literally, there's no meat. It's just chemical based. So Subway, fuck yous all, you green bastards. Like
I've only had an enjoyable Subway a handful of times, but every time I've had it, it's cost me a ludicrous amount of money for a sandwich.
Yeah, I don't get what I mean.
It's a baguette, and none of the ingredients in front of the server or the sandwich artist. I apologise. Actually,
yeah, come on.
Are anything unusual?
They're struggling just now.
That's in the same category as Apple people calling themselves geniuses just because you work there, right? Like, that pisses me off so much. I've
call
never
themselves geniuses.
Fuck them. Like,
I personally identify as a genius. I think that's how that started.
You are a genius. But the thing is, like, I've never bought like an Apple phone. I hate them. I'm Samsung till I die, right? I'm Samsung all the way. But I went into the Apple store once. It was when the iPhone 10 was coming out, right? And I saw it, and I went up to the girl, and I was like, "How much is it?" She was like, "Oh, if you just go on the website." I'm like, "Well, no, I'm here. Like, how much is it? Like, when does it come out? Like, what's the new features?" "Well, if you just log into this website here." I'm like, "You're completely obsolete. What the fuck are you doing here?" Like, they're just walking about in their blue t-shirts, calling themselves geniuses, and they know fuck all. Do you know what? Steve Jobs can... Oh, that... Right, no. Someone jump.
Are you going to say he can rot somewhere there?
I'm going to say he can, yeah.
Rot in his fucking technological hell. Steve Jobs, by all accounts, was just a terrible person anyway.
Aye. If any wee snippets of documentaries I've heard that he was just nasty as
I don't believe anyone at that elite level is a good person. You can't be. You just can't. You can't be like a benevolent character and just rise to the top of a company like that. It just doesn't happen.
Can you guys see my page?
Oh, I can see that.
There we go. That's broccoli.
So this is the real. That's the interview. Is that guy?
That's the interview. Giant broccoli protest arrest. Right. Animal rebellion, calling on people to eat plant-based foods. So he's cutting about with his agendas, looking like a fucking broccoli.
Right, that's the point then, isn't it? There's an agenda. He's got something. So the whole broccoli man thing is doesn't really identify. Surely he doesn't identify that. He's just highlighting that he wants people to eat vegan.
He looks a bit like Lou Ferrigno when he was the Hulk. That kind of mop head.
I love the fact that he's rocking the aviator glasses. Like, that's the part of the outfit that folk are going to be like, he's a respectable man.
He's got no. He has got a problem with style though, because green and red should not be seen together unless on a Christmas tree. I was once told.
This headline just says animal rebellion protester was arrested while dressed as broccoli. Why was he animal rebellion dressed as broccoli?
Surely, if he's telling folk to eat plant-based foods, then he's like offering up himself to be eaten, like cannibalism.
I think he's been a sacrifice.
Get his ass eaten.
Sacrificing himself.
Get his stock eaten.
Oh.
Toss his salad, but you don't have broccoli in a salad.
Right, wait.
I would have broccoli in a salad.
Bring up Subway tuna. Let's fire that so we know I'm not talking shit. I'm not conspiracy theory. I just read things and I'm like, oh.
Mate, this pod's very quickly going conspiracy. But I'm not minding these ones.
Subway delivers 100% cooked tuna to its restaurants, right? Bullshit. Subway tuna fake. Subway gets slapped with a lawsuit for fake tuna. See it? Where are we?
I mean, I feel as if this is in the US and not the UK.
That was my thoughts. This is like Alabama or something, innit?
There we are.
It's the. I mean, the Washington Post have an article, but you need to pay on a fucking stupid site.
I'm on Forbes.
Who's doing that? You ever been on? I think the Guardian do that as well, don't they? Or the Times or something, and they ask you to for a monthly subscription just to read their articles.
They give you
why? There are 10,000 free ones out there.
Read more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but why would they're selling enough advertising space? Why do they need subscription fees?
They're saying because people don't buy newspapers. Yeah,
and that is that is an epidemic in itself. You know what I mean?
What is?
And I'm here to say, buy more newspapers. I'm here to say.
I feel like I'm the referee in a two-sided conspiracy argument here.
Well,
people don't like tuna anyway, they just like mayonnaise.
Tuna is just a sort of...
Tuna is merely the fucking...
Tuna's the
vessel
the airplane.
Is carried in.
That's it. So tuna's the vessel for the mail.
Yeah, so you just need texture. So if they come up with like some pea protein equivalent, I'll slap some mayonnaise on that and I'll have it in a hoagie.
See when you get like a fillet of tuna, you don't slaver it in mayonnaise. So what is it about the mulching process of tuna that makes it lovely with?
I know, you're probably right. I mean, who was the first person to go see that? Because tuna wouldn't have been in... Would people have just been digging it out the can and just going, yeah, that's nice? Surely it would have been coming as steaks first. Who's thinking, let's mush that up and stick it with some whisked eggs?
Well, I'm guessing
if that makes a good filling.
Folks that for pensioners or something that can't chew but loves a bit of fish in the mouth. Like, so at some point they're like, oh, we should mash this up for them. But I don't know. I've never contemplated the history of tuna, to be fair.
It's probably also a conspiracy. How do we know that tuna even exists? You ever seen one?
I had some for my lunch today.
I've seen plenty of tunas, who discovered tuna? In 1901, 12 Japanese men formed railroad workers in Los Angeles, started diving for abalone off San Pedro and found tuna. They found the easiest way...
Throw some mayonnaise! Throw some mayonnaise in it! Throw some mayonnaise in it! There's that shit without the mayonnaise!
That's also how they started using a bucket and spade at the beach. It's because they had a big bucket of Hellmann's and just
you want a cookie and a drink for extra $1.99?
There's a history of tuna there. So whether you believe it or not, Subway's getting sued for not having tuna in their tuna sandwiches. So there you go.
Was this a recent thing? I thought that this was maybe like a 15 years ago type thing.
No. Like pretty recently. So they were actually saying, the one that I read was like anyone who's purchased a Subway tuna sandwich since 2015, if you have your receipt, come back and we'll give you your £3 back. So if anyone's out there listening and keeps all their Subway receipts neatly organised,
I am happy to start forging Subway receipts.
Like a Bitcoin wallet.
If anyone's out there listening, get in touch and let us know that you're listening. That would be nice.
For any reason. For absolutely any reason.
Although if anyone's listening to eat Subway, I would rather you just turn off.
So, yeah, see when you think about it, man, a Subway meal... It's a sandwich, and then it's Walker's crisps that you would get in the Tesco meal deal or the Boots meal. People love a meal deal.
Yeah,
but a meal deal can't be £7, and the main part of it is just a sandwich.
Two of my mates used to work in Subway, and they used to lock up and stuff, and they just started stealing and just like giving people free stuff. There's CCTV in the store, and I was like, "Well, how do you know they don't check it?" And they're like, "We just reckon they don't." And that's what they stole, and they gave. I used to go down on a Sunday, and I would get a load of sandwiches, and then I would just like have them as lunches during the week. And then like sometimes I would just go down while they were locking up, and maybe I was down there mopping up one day, eating sandwiches in the back. Got to make my own sandwich. It was great. They showed me how to be an artist, and they just got away with it for like a year. the franchise owners just never check the CCTV?
So what would they steal?
That's the thing, innit? Franchises are
sandwiches, like shooting cookies, like they throw a lot of stuff out. So, like I think staff from Subway came away with just like a vat of cookies at the end of the night some nights anyway, because shit's just gone off. They either chuck it out, you can take it home. But it was just like, aye, come on down, just make your own sandwich and shit. It was fucking excellent, man. I mean, it was excellent when it was free. I wouldn't pay a cent for it, but
yeah, folk do love a meal deal. Like, see the big twist, right, that I got this week. I realised that an Asda meal deal is not like any other places. You know how everywhere else you go, it's like £3 for a drink.
you don't get a deal.
No, it's you can buy 3 things and the cheapest is free. So you can buy like 3 big ass sandwiches and you'll get one for free. It's much better. Like, so you're not
sponsored by Asda.
And Subway.
Yep.
And what's the Asda logo? The slogan?
Japanese voices.
They slap their arse.
They do slap their ass. No, I think that was back in the day, Peter.
It's Asda price, and then they don't slap their arse anymore.
No, the boss used to slap the employees' ass in the old adverts.
Aye, the Arsenal boss owns Arsenal boss. The Arsenal owner owns Asda, so I hate him. So it's just gloss over that. But
Asda's Walmart, isn't it?
Walmart, yeah. So it's a decent one. Like, you can go in, you can get yourself 3 sandwiches, and you only have to pay for 2. Or in James's case, you just rock up to a Subway late Sunday night, as you do, and just steal shit.
Just befriend a couple of sandwich artists.
Maybe that's what we should do. Each of us should just befriend people in different shops. You know what I mean? Like, I'd quite like.
I used to be a waiter in an Indian restaurant. We used to get free curry at the end of the night.
All right, I used to do that too. I didn't know where it was coming.
I just exclusively eat from burger vans for my lunch, and then all the workies that are in the queue, I go, "Hey, what's the latest racism?" And they go, "Oh, never heard that one before."
Any sexist jokes?
And they go,
the
N-word, and I go, I heard that one.
You hear about the broccoli man?
Hear about the broccoli man? Oh, he identifies as broccoli. And they go, oh, I identify as I identify as a chest of drawers. And I go, that's good. I'll see you later. And then one of them just
These
shouts.
green folk coming over here, taking up all our television interview space. That could have been one of us.
No. So what I was going to say, like, obviously I still work for a restaurant.
You are a professional comedian and podcaster. You put that image out there, okay?
Mate, furlough. I need furlough. But to be
Peter
honest,
does nothing but this.
Let's pretend we don't have jobs. I love that. That's my favourite.
No. Do you know that's? I was told that once.
I was told that as well.
On stage, yeah, but like day to day.
If something funny happens at your work, like, you should be able to relate it to what you do in the daytime. Like, I think it's quite. See, as long if you can't like earn a proper living from just pure comedy, you'd be kind of irresponsible not to do something to pay your bills. Do you know what I mean? Don't judge me for being able to pay my bills.
No, just because the material. Like, I'm not working because I'm worried the material won't translate. I mean, you can easily just say, I used to do this. This did happen to me when I worked. And then, like, an audience member sees you, like, scanning shit at the tills, and they're like, aye. You're like, I'm sorry. The bit didn't work, you don't understand.
I had that one night. I had that night that we did that Gong Show, Scott. You know, the one with He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes.
Ronnie Park. Or Anthony Sanoff, what one is it?
Oh, James is oiled up.
Oh, James is there with his mason jar just getting tanked to fuck.
Oh,
he's the one that's guilty. Why aren't we allowed to name him? Like, it's redacted.
Because you don't want to you don't want to tarnish.
I tell you what, I'll pre-record me going redacted, and we'll just every time
and we'll have to use it 3 times a week.
And anytime the R words get dropped, we'll just put it in. Sorry, Peter.
He is the R word now.
The R word.
Anyway, yes, that was quite an evening.
It was nice.
Do you want to tell the listeners what the Gong Show is that we were? Because some people, all 7,000 listeners to this, might not know what a gong show is. What's a comedy gong show, Peter?
Right, well, a gong show is where you get a pile of shite comedians who can't get paid for their work, right?
Oh!
So... joking. So it's generally comedians that are at the kind of early age of their career, right? And what they do is, it's a wee vanity project. So they pile up and someone puts on a show, we'll use that term lightly, and they get a shitload of comedians, a never-ending fucking cocosm of comedians that...
I believe the night we did it, there was 22.
Aye, and I was last, so I wanted to shoot. Watching all the shit, I think I saw like 4 decent folks. Scott, you were one of them, and the rest of them, Jesus Christ, I could have... Do you know what? I could have gave a rim job to Ronnie Park. That's how bad it was, right? So...
2 more redacted.
So basically, right, you go up on stage and you get about a minute. Most places you get a minute, but the further you have to travel, you usually get about 2. But you get a minute, and the crowd have like placards, or in this case, it was bottles of mustard, because that's the sort of level of gig that we were doing. But whenever like certain folk in the audience get picked out to hold
just to jump in so people are getting a picture, this is an established comedy club in Glasgow. This is like 250, 300 seater comedy club in Glasgow. This isn't like in your back garden. And they had mustard bottles to decide whether you were staying on or not.
Aye. So
continue, Peter. Sorry.
Three sets of tables in the crowd will get a mustard bottle, and if they don't like you, they put the mustard bottle up. And once all 3 mustard bottles are up, you're out, right? But your goal is to last until the 5 minutes. So if you last until the 5 minutes, you move on to the next round, which I think should be like, and these sorts of things to make it more interesting, I think it should be like the audience throws out a topic and you have to bullshit on stand-up. Like, I don't think it should just be a clap-off, because generally what happens is the latest...
I disagree.
No, really?
Yeah.
Like, I think the latest person that they've seen generally gets the biggest clap. Like, see if you got passed pretty early on, they might
That's true, you were the latest person that they saw.
I was the last one, hence why I got fucking second or whatever it was.
I was on first that night.
You
I
were?
was first out of 22, you were last out of 22. I was first down.
And I remember saying that night, like, you went up first and you were off fuck, and I remember saying, I'll be last. Wait and see, I'll be last. But I think, was it no, like, they picked who went up? Like, you didn't know when you were going up. Is that right?
Yeah. So, in other gong shows that I've done, you've known the running order.
Yeah.
I've been in ones where there's been only like 8, and then I've been in ones like that one where there's 22. And that one we're talking about is the place where they don't tell you when you're up. They want it to be the most horrible atmosphere. They want you to have the jitters going up, so that if you last the 5 minutes, you've kind of earned your 5 minutes.
I think the only way
but
I'd be
like in your position, like 20 seconds, like that's a long wait, man. That's a long wait.
Like literally, I go up there with the mindset at that point. Like, I'd just been brought on by being introduced as a pedo child killer, which is funny because we all lost to a pedo. But that was
this episode would go public.
So, no, it's fine. We can just buzz it out. So basically, I was brought up.
Ronnie Park Arena.
Live
from the Ronnie Park Arena. It's the gong show. I was going to say, I would only beat that gong show if one of the tables had a serious mustard allergy and they had to remove the bottle. It's Ronnie Park!
To be honest, it was a decently enough night. Like, I was quite glad that the majority of the acts were shite, because they just got a minute and it sped it up a wee bit. Like, imagine if everyone was cracking and you were there.
The thing is, mate, there's people on that night that are good as well, but for whatever reason, sometimes where you are on the running order, you can actually come out and just get you don't get the time, because I've seen some absolutely amazing acts on that gig. I've done that one 3 times, and
I know.
Not get the 5 minutes, man. It's interesting.
I don't know if it's a gong show, but you remember that Paul McDaniel joke, and he's like, what is it a gong show? He's like down in Manchester, and he walks up and he says hello, and they decided it wasn't for them.
I think he's talking about his Fringe show.
Is it the Fringe show?
No,
He does
I
talk about
don't
the
know.
Fringe show as well, but I
know.
think he says he's down south and he's doing again.
It's the Gong Show. He did I think it was Beat the Frog or something. It was one of them.
I've done that. That's good, man.
Yeah, so I quite like them because it keeps you on your toes and it forces you to kind of interact with the crowd as well. Like, some people don't like that, and they generally don't, unless your writing's really, really tight. They generally don't work well in that sort of environments. But if you can kind of bounce off the crowd a little bit, like, they enjoy the fact that they're not just sitting there watching a fucking 20-second comedian. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think the
interaction.
As soon as in that bear pit one that we were talking about, as soon as they smell a tiny bit of blood, they are ramped up and told get them off, because the crowd are told you've got 22 acts here.
Yep.
I can guarantee you do not want to hear 5 minutes from everyone that I've got here. So get anyone says anything you don't like. Look, you don't like their shoes. It doesn't matter. Get them off.
Yeah.
That's a weird gig when you're starting out, because like you don't develop from it. You might gain confidence from it, but you can't exactly try out material.
No, it's not a material gig. No, it's
for how nervous I was when I first started. It was just stressful. So I was like, I'm getting nothing out of this. Like, I'm still trying to do 5 minutes, and what's the point in trying doing that 5 minutes at a Gong Show?
No, like, it's for me. It was just find something in the crowd that I thought was kind of relatable and just go for it. So, but I like them. I do like doing Gong Shows. Like the very first one that I did no bad in it, and I thought, oh, they're all piss easy. And then I got lulled into a false sense of security, and I did a few after that where I was like gonged off after a minute. But I deliberately to myself, like, I would choose the darkest or the worst subjects. So I have to really get them on side as much as I can, and in a minute you can't really do that. But for this night, it seemed to work. Like, I was brought up called like the baby Butte killer, if anyone knows that story.
Yep.
I was called that, and I kind of just remember taking it on the chin, and the crowd quite enjoyed it.
No, I remember specifically because he said that, and then you walked up and you gave it a couple of seconds, because he literally went, this guy. I think he also said that you were Middle Eastern. No, that you were from Eastern Europe or something like that as well.
Something like that.
Maybe. There's something like that, and he also looks like the.
He said I was from Aberdeen, but I wasn't.
An Aberdeen-based comic, and that's it. You're an Aberdeen-based comic, and you look like the Butte murderer. And then he left it as that, and went, Peter, what? He probably said Peter Waitic or something.
I think you said my name.
And then you come up, and I remember because you just went, I do, aye. And then you got on with your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen it go horribly. With that one in particular that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it 3 times, and the last time was the only time I got through.
Right.
The previous 2 before that did not go well, and the scars are still visible.
You do have the same hair as him, Peter. I just googled baby Butte killer, right, and it comes up, but there's no like there's no it says. It says Monster Aaron Campbell, right? See if you Google it, the first result, Monster Aaron Campbell, but Monster isn't in speech marks or anything, so it's as if his name is Monster Aaron Campbell. Aye, like he never had a chance.
That's when you get a dog, they tell you to give it a friendly name, because if you name it like Killer or Tyson or something, it's going to want to bite folk. If you have a newborn baby and you call it Monster.
I'm sorry, Your Honour. Did you expect any?
It was named after the energy drink that my mum and dad drank before they banged, conceived me.
Monster Aaron Campbell. I think I do remember that.
So that was fun. That was a good one. But I like shit like that, stuff that keeps you on your toes and keeps you a wee bit off. I think it makes you better. But I liked it. That was a good night. But the whole point of me talking about this was like that was quite a good one. Like we got to me, you, and Ronnie, we may as well just
someday.
Okay, Ronnie, we don't have to say her last name, but me, you, and Ronnie got to the final, and that bastard won because I stupidly.
No, there was 4 of us, mate. There was
Derek as well. No, there was 5. Derek McCluskey was in. No, he was.
Right, Derek McCluskey, but there was
And
also
the other guy wearing the really tight trackies with no socks. What's he?
I like him.
What's his name?
What the hell?
Tight trackies with no socks.
James.
What?
James. Gardner, did he not get there as well?
Yeah, James Gardner. Yeah, he's a nice guy, man.
But it was what they did was they then jumped to a clap off, so they kind of clapped you, and whoever did the least claps out each round.
Yeah, and it was you, me, and
Ronnie. We were like
the other.
Yeah. And it was good. Like, it was nice. I kind of fucked it up in the end. Like they did say to me, like at the end of it, they were like, if you'd kept your mouth shut on stage, like at that last bit, you probably would have won because the audience was like louder for you. But I made some stupid joke about Ronnie sneaking in on folk in the toilet, and I didn't realise how true to form that joke was.
Which is the worst thing that's ever been said about him.
But I was right on the money, mate. I was right on the money, and then the audience didn't laugh, and they were like, "Fuck, let's give it to this guy." So
he's laughing now.
Aye, exactly. So
absolutely no one.
The whole point of me bringing that up was it was a decent gig. There was quite a bit of people in the crowd. Like, it was good. You get that buzz like when you come off stage and like folk are leaving and they come up to you and you shake your hand. You know what I mean? That's when the audience does that. It makes you know that you've done a good job. You know, because
never had it. Never had
it. Come on, don't be so modest.
No, it does. It feels all right, man.
It feels good.
It does.
Does it?
You feel like the most famous person in that square foot.
Aye.
Fucking yes.
But it's nice, and there was a couple that came over, and a big guy with like short spiky hair, and he came over with his wife, and he shook my hand. And he was like, "You were cracking, mate. I really like you. What's your name?" And that's what they do. They look for you. And at that point, I didn't really have much social media, so I didn't capitalise on it like some of these fame whore bastards. But they walked away and whatever, and then the next night I was working in a famous Japanese Asian style restaurant, and then that's them. They come in, they sit at a table, and they're like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know." And they went, "Were you doing that gong show last night that we were at?" And I was like, "Aye." And you could not have seen the change in their expression from the night before fucking buzzing to meet me to just a look of disgust, mate. It was just like...
Because you were working.
Yeah.
Like, they gave me credit for something that they assumed that I was, and then, well, I'm aspiring to be. And
they're complaining their katsu curry has arrived at a different time from their udon noodles, even though the first thing they ask you in this generic place that you no longer work, they say you do realise that your food will arrive at different times, and everyone goes, "Yep." And then someone always acts surprised when their duck curry doesn't arrive at the same time as the vegetable sushi.
Yep.
I always think that about like people, like, obviously we know what it's like to earn money through like entertainment and live stand up and stuff. I mean, I don't, but I know what it's like for other people. But like, you know, Gary Falls is like sells out like the SECC or that. Like, he does sell it out, doesn't he? Or he did.
Yeah, he did.
Aye, did.
And then he's just like the SECC or the Armadillo. What one was it?
It was the Armadillo, I think. But the kind of smaller one.
No, I think it was one of the smaller halls in the SECC.
Mm-hmm. And then he's just, hey, and he's just on a video, and he's just like a tradesman now. But he's like also advertising for gigs this year. It's very strange.
Yeah, because it does show you that.
I know he doesn't have the money yet.
There's about 12 of them that actually make a substantial living from doing it.
Yeah, he sold out the Armadillo, just to clear that up. Well, I just googled it. He sold out the Armadillo.
Right, cool.
Just cracking that, like 3,000 folk or something, 4,000.
It's amazing, man.
Yep.
We do not want to make any more enemies.
No,
James.
I'm saying it, Mark. Like the
no.
Perception people want that, because when you sell out the Clyde or the hall in the SECC, like people think, I don't know, like you're Kevin Bridges. Do you know what I mean? Like that level.
Yeah.
Because that's an arena as far as a lower level of stand-up's concerned in terms of the size of the audience.
Yeah, if you're able to sell over 1,000 tickets, you're doing something. Mm-hmm. But unless you're doing that, like Kevin Bridges or Ramesh Ranganathan, you're doing that, 12 weeks out the year, because they've obviously got an enormous amount of fees to pay on top of that. Your
Yeah.
month-to-month money has to come from somewhere else.
I listened to Stanhope's podcast the other day, and I don't know if it was like a bet, but he's like working.
I listened to that as well.
Like, I didn't. I think I maybe only listened to like 40 minutes or something.
I think it's a bet because I listened to him on the Joey Diaz podcast the week before, and Diaz was like, "So do you still own that full block that you live on, that full street?" And he's like, "Aye," and I know everyone in the neighbouring streets and stuff.
Right.
So I don't know whether someone's kind of dared them to, because he's got 3 books on Audible and all that. I mean that. Like that,
I know, but he's like
surely he's got some cash, man.
I think so, and he doesn't really have a lavish lifestyle.
And one of the reasons why, it's an expensive hobby.
True.
Cheers.
The one I listened to was like some guy said, "Oh, you lost a like a dishwasher," and he's like, I'll do that." Like drunk, like came on the next day, I'll do that, and then woke up, and I think he tweeted it to remind himself to commit to doing it. But that's like I said I'm going to wash dishes for this guy the next day, but I think it might have been a bet or something because it's like
maybe it's just some like to keep him busy. He's like, what can I do to keep myself busy? I'm no longer touring. I don't care that much.
Didn't Jason Manford?
Because he was saying that in the Diaz.
Like Jason Manford had like a job in Iceland or Iceland deliveries or Tesco deliveries or something.
Oh, really?
Jason Manford?
Are you sure it's not his brother?
He's doing presenting jobs and all that, surely.
No.
His brother's a comedian.
His brother, Colin.
I'm sure it was Jason Manford. I know he doesn't need the money because, like, he must be doing all right. But he had like a picture in like Iceland uniform. I don't know if it was maybe a thing he was doing.
Maybe he's advertising.
Maybe
he's got a.
Maybe he's taken on a role as a supermarket worker and he wanted to. Take on the experience himself.
No, apparently I've just googled it. He was spotted delivering Iceland orders in Cheshire during the first lockdown. Apparently,
maybe he was volunteering.
Tesco rejected his job application.
Aye,
and, he went to work for Iceland. That's right.
Well, they probably thought it was someone taking the piss.
Just to shit on another comedian, Jason Manford thought it was appropriate to take the job.
No, it's for
from someone that probably needed it.
I know, shocking.
He did it and donated his wages to charity. Donated it to a children's charity. So it's clearly a fucking publicity stunt.
Yeah, they must have contacted him because you're right. He took someone's job. Someone was unemployed and they lost the job to Jason Manford.
For him to give it to
someone turned up at the shift
and he's like,
their uniform is hanging.
He's killed someone.
All there was a coat hanger because they've taken the uniform down. Sorry, Dave. Jason Manford turned up.
Hold that, Manford.
Not much we can do.
I'll be back in a minute.
I would. You know what I would do? Like if I knew like Jason Manford was like stealing my Iceland truck, I would just take a big shit in the boot and just like, you know what I would do, right? I would do that thing of getting like a tuna, right? You get a tuna and you hide it somewhere in the car.
Back to tuna with you? What is the deal with you and tuna?
Mate, I love tuna. That's what makes Subway. That's what got to my core. Got to my core. I hate the fact that they were lying to us Muslims. So I would get like a tuna, right, and I would hide it somewhere in the car, right, somewhere where you're not gonna find it. And then I would take a second tuna and I would hide it somewhere pretty clearly that you could find within 5 minutes, so that you would get the smell of the tuna, right, and they would go, "Oh, it's fucking stinking." Then they would find the tuna, toss it away, and then not realise where the smell's coming from. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would do.
You could do that. You know what I would do? I'd a bit more low key. I would make him know that he's taken my job, and I'd be like, "Listen, I know it's maybe you're going to do something for charity. Could I get a wee selfie from you? Take a selfie,
right,
and then just follow him in the truck the whole time. And every time he goes to do a delivery, like ask him, what's it like being famous, mate? And then every time he comes back to the truck again, just be like, can I get another? The photo wasn't very good, and just annoy him for 8 hours." Just waste his time for 8 hours and just go, I've now not got a job. I've got nothing to do tomorrow. So do you want to turn up? I can do this all week. And just do that until he chucks it.
And unless you realise that Jason Manford is such a big, like, a massive narcissist. I don't think he is. For all intents and purposes, he looks like a nice guy. But he might have enjoyment out of the fact that you're following him like 24 hours a day. Like, you might...
Well, not just to how long his shift is. I wouldn't take him up the road.
What's he up to now? He killed someone else?
No.
Peter just hasn't shut up about Tuna the whole time, man.
Mate, there's nothing wrong with Tuna, right? If anyone out
I know there isn't
listening to this,
so stop going on about it.
Hashtag not enough Tuna. Right, that's
save the Tuna.
No, don't save it. Tunas don't need to be.
Oh, no, don't save the Tuna. Kill the Tuna. Don't give us something else.
You ever seen a Tuna?
Aye.
I was looking at podcast. I was looking for inspiration for the podcast, and I was like, you know the guys on YouTube. It's like the Sidemen.
Yeah.
Like KSI and
I
only know that name. I don't watch any of their stuff. Don't know about them, but I YouTubed them because I was like, maybe there's something I'm missing. You know, when you hear all this stuff and you're like, and I have friends who are adults who like some of this stuff, or they at least have like a vague interest. So it's like, I'm going to watch something because there must be something there. Like maybe they are funny in that. And I watched an interview with one of the guys, and it was just like is it Jack Mate or something like that? The channel.
No idea, mate. I don't watch.
One of the guys is getting interviewed, right, and he's like that. The Sidemen guys, like, how do you cope all the fame and stuff? Like, how do you deal with that? Like being famous? And the guy was like, I was like, right, okay. And the guy was like, oh, well, you know, it's just like what I do to avoid it is like, so I just don't go out, you know, like after 3 o'clock when the schools are out. And I was like, right, of course, that's all I need. It's good enough for me. Yeah, I just avoid when the schools come out. No, I'm not saying he's a paedophile. I'm saying that's his fucking demographic.
I know. Oh. Just to be clear, we don't know what our demographic is. It is not school children.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. Unless it's school children that have a love of tuna, and then we're all over it. But,
tuna's a euphemism.
My son loves tuna. He's at school.
There we go.
I might let him listen to this.
See the thing is, I've got a wee baby sister. And
Daddy, what's a gong show?
Well,
helium balloons.
There's this mustard, and right. So I've got a wee baby sister, and she's like, I don't know, 14 months, 15 months. But something I've noticed, I don't know, Scott, you can relate, right? She loves eating.
Give me it.
Right. So she loves eating. That's what she does all day. She runs about and she eats. If you're eating anything, she comes up to you and she wants a bit. But she loves...
Right. Don't allow her to run and eat.
Right. I get that. It's like, I just stick to the scissors. So she loves eating like the smelliest, stinkiest stuff. Like, see the stuff that you would imagine like a kid doesn't like? Like, she's eating like a whole onion and just like smiled up at you with glee in her eyes as she's eating this onion. And just like, hiya, onion. And she eats like tuna. She loves cheese. She eats garlic, pieces of garlic. I'm glad she's not a vampire. And her favourite thing is eggs and smoked salmon. Is that normal? That's basically what I want to get at. Is it normal?
Your dad's girlfriend gave birth to a hipster, I'm afraid to tell you.
Yeah, it's aye.
Did she peel the outer skin off the onion to start with, or did she eat the papery bit as well?
Did she eat it like an apple?
She eats it like an apple.
That's what I've got.
Like an apple, pretty much, right? So what we do is it's always red onion, so we peel it and we give her like a half, and she just sits and eats it. And like she'll eat it cooked and she'll eat it raw, and she's just absolutely happy with life. Like it's nice. It's nice seeing joy in a kid's face, but when it's due to something that you like,
maybe a tasting. Give her cut a lemon or a lime in half and see if she chews that. And if she doesn't squirm, then maybe her taste buds are way off.
I think seeing joy in a kid's face that can just stare at you eating an onion without crying is like saying that you've seen the joy in John Venable's face when he was murdering that toddler.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I was trying to get it.
Now, I didn't think we would have a Patreon, but I think this might need to be behind a Patreon wall, mate.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'll keep it going. We tried the lemon thing. Let's glaze past the fucking Venables chat. We tried the lemon thing and she loved it. So now when she sees a lemon, she's like, please, please. So she wants lemons. So I don't know what to do.
If she sits and eats a lemon without wincing, that's concerning.
Maybe there's something up with her taste buds.
Okay, maybe I should get it checked out. But she's a very expensive baby, man. Like, she loves avocado and salmon, like you said. She's a wee hipster bastard.
Did you buy her from like Romania or something?
She's not requesting it though. You're giving her it and she's eating it.
No, she.
Yeah, if you give her like
Peter.
Lidl's own Pringles, she'll eat them.
No, she requests eggs and salmon. Like, she'll tell me like egg. And she'll go, cinnamon. So cinnamon, I'm assuming it's salmon.
And not cinnamon.
And not
cinnamon.
Well, she'd probably handle a spoonful of cinnamon, no bother.
A wee cinnamon stick.
That's probably the next step. But I'm just going to feed her like inedible things and see if she can eat them. But we'll see.
I just they are when you feed children healthy food, it is far more expensive.
Yeah.
My wee boy's like that. He eats a lot of fruit and veg, but like you completely understand the whole poverty thing. Like if someone's struggling with money, if you go to Tesco, right, you get is it a punnet of grapes they call it? Like just a pack of grapes. Yeah, that's £2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between my two kids, that'll last 2 days for like snacks and stuff, right? They would sit and eat them non-stop, love them. But for £2, I could go and get 12 packets of crisps.
Right, yep.
So you really understand the whole not having money and the unhealthy lifestyle that the kids can lead. Is very easy.
See, the thing that confuses me and confused me recently, like, is the price of courgettes. So I tried doing that keto diet for a bit.
Very expensive dildo.
And, could not believe it.
It's a very cheap dildo.
Compared to bananas, it's got nothing from bananas.
Speeds up the pickling process, but apart from that, sorry. But I couldn't believe that a courgette was like £3, and like you can get a small packet. No, they are, mate. I swear to God, go to Lidl's I'm not going to name the exact thing, right? But I got enough courgettes to do like the courgette pasta, you know, where I'm not.
I do that.
Enough courgettes, which wasn't a lot. I think it was like 2 or 3 or something. And I weighed them in their wee scales, and it came up £1.78, and I was buzzing. Right, I thought that's cracking. Went and got my chicken, £2. Got to the counter, the guy was like, "That'll be £3.70, mate." I was like, "What?" And he was like,
"He scanned that wrong. There's no way."
Well. So
hold on, I need to go and do something. Right, I'll ask my wife how much
do that.
I need to do something else. I'll ask my wife how much a courgette is, right?
Do that.
Hold on.
It pissed me off.
Courgettes are £3 each.
Not each. No. But whatever weight I had, right?
Oh, right, okay.
But it wasn't a lot. Like, it wasn't I went in and bought like 15 courgettes, so like even 7. Like, I got like, I think 3, maybe 2 big ones. And that was it. Like, it really, really pissed me off. But the thing we're talking about is, like, it's expensive to be healthy now. And I think it's more... I remember as a kid, you used to go get a punnet of strawberries for £1, you know, and it was pretty full. And you could go home and you can eat strawberries and berries. Now you go in, it's £3. Like,
Aldi and Lidl, I thought Aldi and Lidl are generally cheap, but
for the most part,
everything is like, you know, when you go into Asda and there's like a wonky veg section and everything's like 20p. Everything in Lidl and Aldi is wonky. Like everything in the middle aisle, the trolleys, the veg, the fruit,
mate,
the
even the
staff.
cashiers, mate. That's what I was going to say. Like, they all look a bit off. Like, I remember I went into there's a Lidl's, like it's no far away from Govan. I don't know where it is, but it's quite close to Govan. And like literally, I could count the amount of teeth that all the staff had on one hand.
It's frightening when the trolley boys are the most human.
It's amazing, right? School,
right, I'm back
consensus here.
What's happening?
Did you ask?
The courgette chat, aye. She's out there doing her thing, painting.
All right, okay.
Then I said to her, she had headphones in, and this is her conversation. She didn't even ask why. I just said, like, take your headphones out. Much as a courgette, and she's just like, 2 packs, 90 pence. Like, without even flinching.
Nah, sorry. Well, either that or
she got.
We shot them because we're cheap. There's no way we would not buy a £3
No, I think
veg.
you're all wrong, Peter.
Confused me so much. So that guy like pinned.
Peter, you're off, mate. That guy's done you.
I was raging. I cannot describe how angry I was leaving that. Like, I've never been that angry over a legume in my life. Like, I was wandering over at the car and like I was verbally annoyed with my girlfriend, like phenomenally annoyed.
James, do we just ignore the legume word? Or...
He's quite uppity, isn't he?
Yeah.
I tried to think of a different way of saying courgette, but
I mean, I know it.
Do you know what that guy's done, right? You know what he's done? He's got a wee scam going. He's thinking, right, if anyone brings in the vegetables that you need to weigh on the thing and then give them a price, I'm going to overcharge them. If they question it and go, oh, sorry, my bad, and then they change it, but he's gone, right, it's £3.20. And you've oh, right, okay. And then you've paid it, and he's... Did you pay cash?
no, card. It's Corona times, no one pays cash anymore.
Nah, then. Nah, I don't know what the scam is then. There is a scam there. There's a scam there.
I mean, it's not. It's expensive to eat organic healthy, but if you meal prep and stuff, you can't eat healthy enough for. Because like, there's a while where I'll try and go vegan. Like, that sounds pretentious, but I try and go plant based like a couple of weeks at a time. Like I try and. I'll never fully commit, not yet anyway, so I try and go weeks without it, and then I'll like factor in some meat, and then I'll like 70-30, do you know what I mean? Just try and eat less meat. But when I'm starting, I buy like plant-based ready meals because it's just fucking easy. And they're like £2 each, and most ready meals are. So it's like if you buy, ready meals every night for like, it's not any cheaper than just buying fresh stuff. And like preparing a batch of chili and having that for 3 nights. You know what I mean? It's not the ideal. No one wants to admit it, but it's not like it's kind of shit. Like it's shit having to eat like the same dinner 3 nights in a row or 3 nights of the week having the same thing.
If you prep spaghetti bolognese, you're right, mate. It would not cost you.
No,
it would be far cheaper to make a big batch of that and eat it 2 or 3 times.
Especially if you know how to make it.
Buy.
Bulk a lot of stuff with veg and it tastes better. And
it's the soup argument, isn't it? Like if you make a big pot of soup, that can do you for ages. But like, how much of your life do you want to spend consuming soup? Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to.
We've tried all that, like making a big batch of soup and then putting it in the freezer. How bad does your life need to be that you're defrosting soup?
Come on. Like having a slab of soup, like just opening that freezer and being confronted with a slab of soup.
It's like I fancy some soup. Oh no, I'm going to need to wait 4 hours for that thing I made myself.
I fancy some soup 24 hours from now. Is there a more depressing thought than that? I would be happier thinking I'm going
to treat myself.
I God, like I'd get so angry that I'd fling that soup out the window and like it would kill somebody, and then like 6 hours later they're just lying dead in a pool of soup. And the police come round and they're just like, what was the murder weapon? And the guy's like, I don't know, but this guy has minestrone all over him.
A minestrone, that's the perfect murder, a minestrone icicle.
Exactly.
The mulligatawny murderer, that's what they call you.
Oh, no, I mean, what I like to do, especially with lockdown, like I love cooking and I love baking and stuff, so, but not bacon as in bacon, like, no halal, like bacon.
Yeah.
But, I always love to make new things that I think are difficult to make. So usually those things that are quite nice or quite exotic or whatever, there's loads of wee tiny ingredients that no one has in my house. Do you know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean.
Miso and lemongrass.
Saffron.
I'm Arab. I've got a shitload of saffron in the house, but stuff like that, right? And see, like you do a nice meal, a nice big meal, but you're spending like 13, 14 quid because there's all these tiny wee things that you don't have. And then when you move on to something else, a new recipe, there's another 4 or 5 things, right? And then you start looking at it and you're like, do I really need that? Like, do I really need fucking condensed kumquat in this fucking recipe? Like, no chance. So I just started leaving it out and it's a lot cheaper. So handy tips there, folks out there. If you are cooking and you're following a recipe, just leave shit out. That's it. Just go with what you have. So that's about it.
You're listening to Cook with Open Spots? One open spot and 2 comedians?
No, I wouldn't even, don't even fucking put that bracket around it.
No.
Let's not get into the people on Facebook currently there's a batch of them that all of a sudden are killing it on Zoom gigs in their own words.
I blocked and muted all that stuff. I only see people that I want to see. I have no idea.
Yeah. But, no, I told you last week about the other one that I like to keep a few of these folk around just so I can see that I'm not as big a knob as I could be. Don't know.
Yeah.
But see, when you were talking about cooking there, it made me, when you were thinking about soup, it made me think of carrots. And that oddly takes me into a wee... Any's watched the Capone movie? It just got released like 2 days ago on Netflix.
But I heard Tom Hardy.
With Tom Hardy?
No.
Right, it's
the Al Capone movie.
Give us a wee outlay.
Right, so it's about Al Capone, obviously, right? You know who that is?
Yeah.
I assume Chicago mafia boss in the 30s.
Remember we talked about it before?
Aye. Yeah. He was like one of your
like syphilitic.
Oh, so it was because he was the Valentine's Day massacre guy. Anyway, there's a movie just on with Tom Hardy, and I really like mafia movies, and I only really realised when I started watching it that it was based around the last year of his life, where he's basically his mind's gone. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but he's like shitting himself and all that. He's hallucinating. He's doing all this. But the thing that reminded me was that he was a big cigar smoker, and his doctor had came to him and his wife and said, his mind's away. He's not got long left. If you wanted to prolong it, he needs to give up the cigars. And one of his sons or something was like, for how long? And the doctor's like, well, forever. And he's like, well, he's not having that. He will not be okay with that. So the doctor said, why don't we try this? And he picks up a carrot and says, use this instead. So they all, I assume they didn't do it, like they didn't put lines in the movie, but I assume there was some kind of family meeting, like, we need to convince our dad that these carrots are actually cigars, because he needs to have that thing in his mouth. So, like, the last hour of the movie, most scenes are him, but you forget, because the first bit of the movie, he's got the cigars in, and then the rest, he's got a fucking a carrot, and he's chewing on it. His eyes all mental and that, and he's screaming out Italian. I was like, caprese, huh?
And it just gets to the end of the movie, and he's got like a carrot in his mouth, a cigar up his arse, 2 Q-tips in each ear, and he's just patting his head and rubbing his tummy. He just looks like remember a Bop at Extreme? With his shit coming out everywhere.
I'd love for like halfway through the movie, just Elmer Fudd comes out from behind a tree and he just looks at him and goes, "What's up, Doc?" Like that's what I would want.
Is it good, Capone?
It was it's okay. Right. I'm going to wait for the reaction to, and me personally, I'm disgusted with Netflix that they got an Englishman to play a 48-year-old about to shit himself American Italian.
Yeah.
Was there no actors out there? Was there no 48-year-old American Italian actors with 3 scars down their face that could have fulfilled that role? It's disgusting.
Like Joey Diaz. Like Joey Diaz should have played Al Capone. There you go. Like that should have been. I mean,
it's annoying because actually he would have done like
Joey Diaz is like a fat Cuban guy and he's just tried to be Italian his entire life.
I think because he was in Jersey, a lot of people around him were Italian, and he just because he was in the Sopranos movie that's going to come out, I think later this year. It's still in editing. But he's in it because he was in the line to be Big Pussy, wasn't he?
Yeah. He looks exactly like Big Pussy. Like I think they're a good few years apart. I think I forget his name's like 70 odds now, 75 or something.
Diaz looks that though, doesn't he?
He's fucking.
He's about 58 or something.
No, he's older than that. Diaz is in his 60s, I'm sure.
No, he's not.
Like,
he's
is
not.
Joe Rogan in his late 50s or something?
Rogan's about 55.
Didn't
maybe.
Joey Diaz get Me Too? And everyone was like shocked and like, really, after all those, when he was telling people he was like raping women for all those funny stories.
But that's exactly that's the thing. You can't defend that, right? But the thing I will defend is that he literally would go on his podcast twice a week and tell you all these terrible stories and be like, "This is what I did. This is what that woman said. This is when I took these drugs."
Like a portfolio.
He literally, it was like, "Here's everything," and then you're right, James. Folk were like, "No."
I love the fact that
Shut
a week into the sort of controversy, Joey Diaz just turned down and went, "Shut up." Just kept.
He kind of batted it off, didn't he? That guy.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Which isn't excusing any of it, but it's just like,
I think if you're not harming,
that stuff happened.
We don't know if he harmed somebody's life, like if he harmed some girl's life or whatever. But for the most part, it wasn't folk coming out and saying so and so did this to me. It was folk that had just watched one of the episodes of the podcast, listened to what Joey Diaz said, and then reverbed it to some fucking BuzzFeed article.
I mean, I don't know about you, but like I listened to the Joe Rogan Experience like when it was like 200 odd episodes, maybe like 182 is when I started listening, when they were like sitting on a couch recording.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? His stories are fabricated. They are made up, aren't they?
I think like most.
But I think a lot of the time it's that thing where he's on the line of truth, and they were true when he told them the first time 20 years ago, and then through smoking so much weed and whatever else he's been doing, the truth line has got very wavy along the way.
That happens. Like, there's a few things that I know, and it's just your memory. When you tell a story, like when you tell it again and again and again, you're not recalling the initial memory. You're recalling the last time you told a story. Like that's how memory works.
Yeah.
So if there's a tiny little thing that's different, like that's just going to change the story forever. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's probably stuff that we tell and you go, that's amazing. And then if you actually went back to the point of it happening, it's no interesting at all.
Yeah, because see when we did that Gong show, I don't know if you remember, but I got a standing ovation. They were screaming my name as I left the building.
You know, I've said this before, but like that Gong show, that still haunts me to this day. Because I did a wee... I don't know if I should say it again, but I did a wee sneaky wee backhander to make you lose, Scott, and I feel bad about taking the money away for you.
The thing is, you text that to us in the group. He texted this to us in the group chat, and I was like, Peter, I remember you saying that, but I did not think twice about it. It's stupid. Well, the guy that runs the Gong show, right, when it got down to the final three, so the other two guys had been like clapped off, and it got down to the final three, and I think the prize money was like 250 quid or something, plus a couple of weekend gigs at the club, right?
Which
and,
I would have said,
he's going along everybody.
But
aye, and he's going along everybody and saying, right, if you win the money tonight, what are you going to do? And the other person said whatever they said, and then he asked me, and I said, well, I want to take my kids to Disneyland Paris, so I would put the money to that. And then it came to Peter, and as a sharp comedian would say, what did you say, Peter? What would you do with the money, Peter?
Well, if I win tonight, I'm going to take Scott's kids to Disneyland.
That's what Ronnie said as well.
James!
I'm going to pay Ronnie's bail because he took Scott's kids to Disneyland without his permission.
Like, put it out. Like, there's absolutely no problem with talking about this stuff. Like, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
There is, but you also don't want to take over.
I know.
James,
I just love...
See, between you saying that and then Peter B's Tuna, I don't think I've said 4 words. So
I love the idea of just making a headache for Scott because he has to edit it out.
No, don't bother.
I know he won't bother.
When I edit this out, there's going to be 3 minutes left.
The reference to a certain child killer. Edit out the reference to that.
He's all overdoing my editing. I am doing nothing. This is just getting through it.
But I still felt bad about that for some reason because I mean it was decent. It was decent offline. I think that's what got you punted and got me moved on to the next whatever it was. But
no, my average act got me punted, mate. It's nothing to do with
no.
You're giving yourself too much credit for that. It was my average joke and storytelling that got me punted.
I felt bad for that for ages. So like when I would see it,
and you should. I've not slept a wink since.
Cheap.
I know, but that's going to stick with me.
Low hanging fruit.
It was quick enough though. Like the only thing that made up for it was the fact that it was pretty quick, but it was a low hanging comment. But the speed of it made up for it. But what were we on about? I can't remember what we were talking about before we jumped back onto this.
Did you take your kids to Disneyland? Oh no, you
carrots.
Didn't. Sorry.
Did we won?
No, also, COVID hit. Yeah. So instead of taking the kids to Disneyland, we got a new kitchen and bathroom.
Lovely.
That's
same.
how much Disneyland costs, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kitchen and bathroom amount of money.
Are you going to see Mickey Mouse? No, but you're going to see a 5.
No, but look at that tiling.
You've always wanted a walk burner on the hob, haven't you, kids? Yay!
Thing is, you say that, right? We actually said things like that to a 6-year-old and 3-year-old. Are you excited about the new bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
And like, but see if you say things like that in a like excited enough voice, they actually get excited. Are you excited? Oh, we got a new bathroom coming! Look what yours! And you'll be like, what are you excited about? And they'll just be like, I don't know! Taking a shit!
A slightly different angle to I used to. I know. It's nice seeing the joy in kids' eyes when they're eating an onion. Yeah.
Oh, a red onion coming at the other end could be horrible.
I don't know. She seems to be fine. But you had a wee fact that you put up, and I thought was quite interesting. I think how long have we been going on for, Scott?
We're over an hour, man. I was going to say if you wanted to go into the this week in history, are we okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay with that section leading up? I don't think we managed it last week because bants were flowing so well. So this week in history, this is sometime in March. We're recording this. A wee sad one. I don't know if this is the one you're referring to, Peter, but this week in 1994, the legend that John Candy died. Do you remember it? You never liked him. James, you were a fetus.
I'm gonna be the alternative take here and say I hated John Candy. I'm gonna be that guy.
You've hated John Candy since
Nobody
childhood.
hates John Candy. He's a big lovable cushion.
He was voted the nicest guy in comedy. Like apparently he was lovely. Like whenever anyone would come to him, he always had like a good word about them. Like he was like I remember as a kid, like I grew up with all those movies. I grew up with like Splash, Home Alone. The Blues Brothers is like one of my favourite movies ever, and he's cracking in that. But like even movies like there's so many.
You've not named the one I love the best.
Uncle Buck.
Cool Runnings.
Uncle Buck's great.
What else did I watch him in the other day? There's one with Dan Aykroyd.
The one where he takes his family to the kind of camping
it's like
thing.
Out of bounds. No, what is it like?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd's like the brother-in-law. Outdoors, something like Go Outdoors or something.
The Great Outdoors, I think.
Oh, The Great Outdoors. That for me as a kid, like I remember vividly watching those things. And yeah, I liked that more than I liked like Home Alone and stuff. I remember that. Do you remember the scene where he's doing the steak eating contest?
Yeah.
And he's just sweating. He's like, no, you need to eat the grizzle as well, and he's just like corpse.
I watched that movie for the first time like a few weeks ago with my girlfriend. That was one of those ones that completely missed my radar. I don't know why. I don't know if it was like a big one. It obviously wasn't that big, but I watched that and it's so nice to find a John Candy movie that you've not seen. Do you know what I mean? Just to have that enjoyment again. I think the number one John Candy movie has to be Planes, Trains and Automobiles, to be honest. Like that.
You wanna hurt me?
Is that the Steve Martin factor as well? But
yeah, they play off each other. What were you saying, James?
There's that button playing Trains Automobiles. He's like, you want to hurt me? Go ahead. I'm an easy target. Yeah, I talk too much. But my brothers also listen too much. That's my John Candy impression.
That was the first movie that I
I think you should have played Capone.
It's me, Al Capone.
That was the first movie that I ruined for my mum. Like I ruin movies. I'm a movie ruiner. I'm the sort of guy that overthinks all the time, and like I spoil a movie 20 minutes in because I have like some big guess about what's going to happen at the end of the movie. And actually, 99% of the time, I'm right. Like I'm not even big headed. Like I just guess, and I'm like, that's what's going to happen. And I remember me and my mum were watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. When did it come out? Actually, 87.
I was going to say,
87.
Was it?
So
that is the year I was born.
Comedies, by the way. Unreal. Like mainstream comedy. God,
apparently now they're like making 80s movies nowadays. Like they're trying to recreate the sort of 80s aspect. There's one that's being made in Glasgow apparently.
Like the kind of buddy, like buddy cop films. Obviously, there's loads of them, but like that kind of, like conflicting duos, like Planes, Trains, and like remember Midnight Run with De Niro and I can't remember his name, man.
But I remember sitting in the house. My mum hadn't seen Planes, Trains and Automobiles, and it must have been about 97, 98. He was dead by then. Because my mum used to say, my mum took massive enjoyment out of telling me when actors were dead. Like, see when you watch something in the movies, like in the screen, and she's sitting there, oh, she's dead. Oh, she's dead. She's dead now. She's dead now. And mum's dead.
My dad used to tell me when they've fallen off a stage, and I would get really excited. He went, son, give me a John Candy's falling off a stage, and they got it on video, and I would go, ah!
That's when he died, ladies and gentlemen, when he plummeted.
It's weird that you are talking about like being raised weird compared to now. I was born in 87, right? So during the 90s, I just watched whatever my dad was watching. You know what I mean? A Saturday night, it wouldn't be like now if I was getting a movie for my kids. Well, you're not going to Blockbuster, are you? But you would just buy something on Amazon or put something on Netflix, and it would be whatever they want to watch. That's not how it was when. And I'm not. This isn't like back in my day in the 60s they used to smack us and give us whiskey to fall asleep. This is the 90s. It's not like it's that long ago. But you would just watch whatever my dad. I watched a box set that I've watched way too many times as a child was the Lethal Weapon box set, which isn't that risky, but there's nothing for children in there. So I'd watch that, or it would be whatever Harrison Ford cop movie was out that year. Like that kind of shit is like a 7-year-old.
I remember well this thing, I remember sitting there and my mum was telling me everyone was dead, and
fucking hell, man, she wasn't half morbid. But Peter, I'm going to read you out the obituaries today. Sit down, son. Here are the obituaries for this week.
I remember watching like.
And again, the low-hanging fruit for all the listeners is Peter's mum is now with all those actors.
Peter's son, I'm died today.
That's my whole act.
I've came back because I had to let you know.
That's us even for the Disneyland thing.
So I remember sitting in the living room in our weird. Do you remember in the 90s having those like couches that were all flowery? Do you remember the flowery patterns that everyone had on fucking everything? And you had like an avocado bath. I cried in that avocado bath so many times with No More Tears, mate. That No More Tears is a pile of shit. I remember crying with avocado pot, fucking porcelain shoved up. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I remember sitting there in the living room and 20 minutes into this jolly, happy movie, I just turned to my mum at like 6 years old and went, his wife's dead. Throughout the whole movie, she was like, I don't think so. No, he's talking about his wife. And then sure enough, at the end, she was fucking dead. So, lovely. As a 6-year-old.
Just spoiling films.
Sorry, it's not really a spoiler. But John Candy's a legend, mate. Like I read a few wee facts when you told me we were going to talk about him, and apparently the scene in Home Alone that everyone knows about the polka and then playing in the van. So apparently that scene in the van with like Maureen O'Hara. Is it Maureen O'Hara, the one out of Schitt's Creek? Is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, that scene in the van, John Candy filmed it 24 hours consecutively. Like, they just kept doing retake after retake because he was making stupid wee jokes and comments, and the crew were just howling. So apparently, it took them 24 hours to film that like 3-minute scene.
How old was he when he died?
Me, I was 2.
44, 1950, 1994.
44.
I
Oh
thought you
my
said
god,
me.
that's so young, man.
The thing is, right? See when you hear that as a kid, oh, that funny man is dead. Whereas if you saw that as an adult, you'd go, oh, you mean that massive guy has died in his mid-40s? Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yep.
If a dad and a child hears that, they'll be like, goody, they've put him out of his misery. Guy that want to be funny, man.
Like, it's what you want as a testament to your life is like when you die, you want, like, when someone tells someone else that you're dead, you want them to turn around and go, well, how did he die? Do you know what I mean? Like, see if they just turn around like John Candy's dead, they'll turn around and go like, aye. Like, you just know, like, you want to keep yourself in enough health and shape that.
I don't know, Peter. That sounds a bit seedy, mate. Like if James comes on, if next week James comes on and goes, I don't think Peter can make it. He's dead, and I just go, I don't react with, I'm sad or like, oh, like how did
I don't know.
That's the first thing you ask. How did it happen?
It really pisses me off when a celebrity dies. It's like died age 23 in their house. And I just have to assume suicide. Like I enjoy people dying. Like I Google it. There's nothing that I think it's from my mum. There's nothing that gives me more pleasure than me knowing that someone massively more successful than me is no longer alive.
How did John?
So what we need to decide on is what will our hashtag be for YouTube Kids?
Was it like a bog standard heart attack or kidneys or something like that?
So the crazy thing about it was he went off to Mexico to film a movie, and I think it was now listen to how good this movie would have been, right? The precursor to the movie was him as a neighbour in a suburban Mexican neighbourhood, and his neighbour was Sylvester Stallone, and throughout the whole movie they were going at it back and forth. Think how awesome that movie would have been. So he went down to Mexico to film it, and just before he went down, he phoned Maureen O'Hara, and he said, "Listen, I have a really bad feeling about going down to Mexico. Like it's real. I feel really negative. I think I should stay in Canada." And
just because he was racist.
Do you think having the surname Candy gives you that extra bit of elevation? So obviously, like he was a funny guy and he was extremely talented and stuff. Great actor, like great comedic actor. But you think just having the name of Candy just gives you that slight edge?
I think having the name of
I wonder if that's his real name.
Candy is his surname.
Think that's his real name?
I wonder if having that name is just like every time it's the reason why he was the size he was. Like every time he looked at the driver's license, it just reminded them that there was sweets out there. And
like a constant reminder of his impending diabetes. I always think that like Harry Styles, that's a cool name.
My second name's Steele. I don't just go and bite gates.
Wasn't John Belushi pretty young when he died?
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
Aye.
John Belushi died.
There was a period of like,
same way Adam Sandler's best mate
as well. Yeah. Chris Farley died, but he was massively into John Belushi, and he died in a very similar way to John Belushi. It was quite freaky.
He was maybe like Chris Farley was he was maybe like John Candy, like really funny. I know Norm Macdonald always talks about him being like the funniest person ever.
Yeah,
just funny no matter what room he was in, no matter who was there.
Confession time. When I've had a few whiskies or beers, and I'm on YouTube, I often watch the Adam Sandler song that he does about Chris Farley, and I've shed a few manly tears to that.
And is that the one day special?
Yes, and I'm hoping one day one of you two will pick up an electric guitar and write a song about how much you miss me because I'm gone too soon.
Count on it, bro.
I've got an angelic singing voice, so you're covered there. I think. See the crazy thing about Chris Farley dying, like he died in a vat of his own vomit, right? And the crazy thing was like when he died, David Spade's career died with it. Like David Spade was on a massive upward trajectory because he was with Chris Farley and he was like on his coattails, but he was doing decent things because of it. And then as soon as Chris Farley died, David Spade just
You don't think he's had a good
I think
career?
he's had a decent career, but he's not had the career he would have had if Chris Farley was alive. I think he would be a lot more respected as a comedic actor, or at least like a very witty person than he is. Like he's just a running joke, to be honest, David Spade.
But I think that, see that whole Saturday Night Live scene, I think that's got a certain length. That career length.
And unless you're Will Ferrell or something.
So if Farley was still alive, you would probably it would have gone on a wee bit longer. But I don't think that's not the longevity.
Talking about like, if those guys were still alive, it's such a hard argument to make because like they were always going to die young.
Yeah.
They're too fat.
Yeah,
you know, people that big never make it. But like they don't know people that big never make it past like mid-40s. It never happens. Almost.
It's the booze. It's the food.
Like
it's
John
the
Goodman
drugs.
Just
like
going to see this.
It's not like.
But John Goodman in his diet.
Is that what he did?
John Goodman's like slim now, like a bit of weight, but he's like a slimmer guy now.
He's
like
just
healthy as fuck.
Skin, isn't he? Like,
I suppose John Goodman and Roseanne is like Farley, innit?
So John Goodman got he auditioned for Saturday Night Live. Like I was massively into Saturday Night Live as a kid. Like I used to get one of my aunts used to record the VHSs of Saturday Night Live and she used to post them to me in Scotland. Like I loved it. Like I started watching it when I was in like 99.
Really?
Yeah, like when I was a kid I used to wait every week for the VHS to come. But what would happen was they would like pile up and I would get 3 or 4 in a go. And I used to watch it and I was massively into it until like maybe the early 2010s. Like my mindset was I want to be on that show. Like that's what I want. Like they've never really had a Scottish person. Like Mike Myers is half Scottish, and I was like I want to be on there. And then the older I got, I was like I can't do any of the shit that these people are doing. Like I was like impressions wise decent enough, but like not enough. But the thing was like I grew up with all those folk and their career trajectory, like you said, is not strong after Saturday Night Live. Actually, the career trajectory of writers on Saturday Night Live is massive compared to the actual.
The writers always do good, eh?
Yeah, like Louis C.K., like Conan O'Brien, John Mulaney. Who else?
Conan O'Brien was a he was a writer for The Simpsons for years.
I was one of the writers.
Simpsons?
I don't know what to.
SNL.
And still he couldn't win a fucking gong show.
Both. I have won gong shows, just not that one. Smart ass.
So I'm joking. But I loved SNL as a kid. So John Candy was one I knew of him as a kid, like when I was tiny, but he was outside of SNL. So he's got the record for being in the most movies starring an SNL actor of someone that's never been in Saturday Night Live. So he was in the Second City in Chicago, and he did it with Eugene Levy and Maureen O'Hara and Martin Short. Martin Short as well.
But see, if you look at Hollywood longevity, if we're going down that route, Eugene Levy, like. I loved American Pie. I loved American Pie. And he was already a guy. No, but I loved American Pie at that time. It was very relevant to the age I was, all that kind of shit, right? So you watch him, and even then, he must have been in his 50s, late 40s, 50s at that point. So, but I hadn't seen the kind of Christopher Guest style stuff that he'd done previously. So I mean, a comedy career over that length of time is.
So in Second City, it was him, John Candy, and Martin Short that was like carrying that show. They did it in Canada, like they did Second City, I think Toronto, and they were just phenomenal. So I remember reading that like the showrunner for Saturday Night Live went down to Canada, and tried to convince John Candy to come up. He tried so hard to convince John Candy. and he had two people sitting in the room, and it was John Candy and John Goodman, and they were both auditioning. And John Candy turned to John Goodman and went, "I don't want to do this. I don't want to sully my reputation in Canada by doing this show in New York." So John Candy just left, and then John Goodman didn't get it. So I think they gave it to, I can't remember who it was, but it was someone big. And I remember reading that, and that's just like, that's what John Candy was. Like, he knew his worth, he knew his value, and he was a very, very funny guy.
Yep.
Like, phenomenally funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fitting tribute, Peter. Shall we move on to the next what happened in history? Because I think we can't top the way you've just sealed it off, mate. Anything I would say in top would be a cheap shite joke, so I think we should move on.
Sorry, I love him.
A wee silly one. Well, not silly. An interesting one that I had never heard this. I don't know if you had. In 1978, did you see this before I read it out?
I can't remember what you're going to say.
Right, in 1978, this week, 2 people stole Charlie Chaplin's corpse from the grave. They then demanded $600,000 ransom from his widow. And in 78, that's a lot of money. So he was buried, I think he was buried in Switzerland or Austria. Somewhere at that region of Europe anyway. And these people had found where he was and then dug up his body. And then I read a wee bit about it because I was like, no, this can't be right. And then they started phoning the widow and saying, "We've got this. You better be ready to pay," and all that. And then they would phone again and say, "Right, we want $600,000." I assume that's the website I was on. That's just be converted, whatever they were working in, whether it was francs or whatever, and asking, "This is what we want to have is to give you his dead body back."
Dig him up, though, or did they just
yeah, they dug him up. They genuinely dug up his grave, and they got his body, and they had it. And she was saying, "This is ridiculous. No, I can't do that." And then they phoned back, and they're like, "We're going to we'll hunt you down, we'll hunt your kids, and all that." And then it just turns out it was like, I think one of the guys was like a mechanic or something, and then it was just him and his mate decided that this would be a good business opportunity. But it's a good point though. Like, how much? It's not like he's alive.
Yeah.
Like, see if you kidnap, there's $600,000 back then. That's got to be worth tens of millions now, right? Tens of millions. So take a famous person and say, "Right, I'll give you." Right,
who could you dig up and you wouldn't care about?
Who could you give up?
Who would you dig up?
That's what I mean. Like you.
Dappy? Is Dappy dead? We've got Dappy.
We've got Dappy and Dizzy Rascal in the one coffin.
He's about, man.
Dappy's not dead.
Yeah, but I could kill him. Someone should kill him.
Who would you kill?
That's
buried,
Lorraine
dig
Kelly,
up for the
hands
ransom.
down. I have no idea why she's famous, mate. I have absolutely not. She sits on a couch. She sits on the edge of a couch and does fuck all but ask stupid ass questions to like bored housewives, and folk just give her money.
So does my gran. Are you going to kill my
gran?
fucking
Like
gran?
£200,000-300,000 a year? No, like just.
You haven't seen my gran's OnlyFans.
We could just kill Lorraine Kelly and just claim it's a persona that we killed off.
Exactly.
Or not
Exactly.
persona.
Exactly.
So do you have a persona?
So should this episode go public just in case?
I mean,
Lorraine Kelly.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit about Lorraine Kelly.
Not missing, because a character can't go missing, can it?
No.
What'd you say?
And she has to commit
like
to
a
the
character.
character
If we
or the phone when we have resources. She's like, "And hello there, we're back, and I'm a hostage and being violated and cigarette burns all over my body. They want £1 million. Tune in to find out more. We'll find you back at 5."
There has to be reference, mate.
And I'm next.
There has to be reference to the fact she's for Dundee and everything she does. Like that's what really does my tits in. Like every single thing she does.
If she breaks character, like, oh, pay your taxes. Fucking pay your taxes.
Exactly, but
and then we'll release her.
See the thing about like Charlie Chaplin, like wouldn't they have been better going to like the Smithsonian or something rather than going to his wife and saying like, "Do you want Charlie Chaplin's body?" And they
I think that's the point, mate. I think that was the point that these guys have just thought we've found out where this grave is. We're going to take the body, and surely Charlie Chaplin's left a pile of money to his wife, and she's going to want the grave. Apparently, she did not give too many fucks, so she's like, "Why would I give you 600 grand for
a skeleton with a top hat on, a
dead body?" What?
I mean, it's no. It's
like his mustache. How do I know it's Charlie Chaplin? Have just drawn a mustache on him.
There's a Hitler on the skeleton.
I feel like from the aspect of his wife, I'd be like, why are you giving me the body? Like, he didn't speak to me when he was alive. He's not going to speak to me when he's dead. Like, what the fuck? But
that's marriage, ladies and gentlemen.
End the recording.